Hi, I'm Sydney.
I'm Evan.
And this is Dude, It's Darwin, Episode 5. So last week we discussed social media and the concept of hiding behind a computer screen and saying some really nasty things to each other. So this week it's kind of a transition to our topic is bullying. And a little campaign that we really believe in that we created is Don't Be a Bully, Don't Be a Victim. It really just highlights that there are two sides to every coin.
So right now there's a bunch of anti-bullying programs in school, on social media, but the term itself can be taken in so many different ways, whether it's physical abuse, emotional abuse, or cyberbullying. Like there's so many forms of bullying, and that I'm not sure we understand and tackle all of them. We only tackle one of them, and that ignores the rest, so people don't think that the other forms are out there.
So we think that just as important as not being a bully is not being a victim. See, with all these programs out there, we still have a problem with bullying. There's still bullies that exist, and regardless of the countless documentaries and programs that have been started. So we believe that yes, we need to teach kids not to bully, not to treat people poorly, sure, but we also need to teach kids that what they feel their self-worth is way more powerful and relevant in their lives than what the kid down the street thinks of them. Just because we say this, physical abuse is one thing. Physical abuse is something that should never be tolerated. That is a whole separate area than emotional or cyberbullying.
So the part of don't be a victim, we're not saying get really buff and beat up the guy back, and we're not necessarily saying that someone commented on your Instagram post, write I hate you back or something like that. Basically what we're saying is to rise above it in the sense of I guess you can even say respect your body, build your form. We're not saying again get really buff, but have enough self-confidence in your own self-worth that you're not always making yourself the punchline.
Basically, it's if someone says something nasty about you, block them. Get them out of your life. You don't need that in your life. You don't need to acknowledge that it even happened. You just need to get rid of it. Instead of trying to fight back or taking everything to heart, just don't listen to them. I mean, easier said than done, because that's the thing. With today's technology, you're constantly open for these sorts of attacks through texting, through phone calls, through social media. And that's not even, you getting to school. And we understand that. It's a scary world for being a kid and an adult these days, because people have that false sense of security being behind that computer screen. But just the same, you need to be able to if you hear those things, nip it in the bud, say they're full of crap anyways, and delete them, block them, whatever you have to do to get that negative energy out of your life. But you have control over your life. Don't let anyone else take that control away from you. So with this being our concept, we're launching a campaign in the next few months, really focusing around don't be a bully and don't be a victim. So tune in in a few weeks, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the campaign itself. So our current event of the week, Evan.
The current event of the week has to deal with the Super Bowl, of course. But
of course.
The commercials this year, they were very different. There was no over-sexualization for either gender, but
woohoo!
This kind of undertone topic of father figures and I guess their role in society.
So on top of the father figures, fathers taking on, we read an article about fathers taking on a different role in the commercials this year. We also noticed that they were a lot more somber or serious. We saw a couple, like the Carnival Cruise Line commercial had a really long, beautiful passage that it quoted, and we heard a couple public figures quoted in some of these commercials, and of course you can't forget Nationwide. in their commercial. But you know what's so interesting about Nationwide's commercial dealing with accidental deaths of children is that regardless of what they intended and how everyone took it, they have started a dialogue. People are talking about it. I hope they're talking about it in a way that's productive. I know that it's trending as a meme right now, which is, I don't know how I feel about that, because we're still talking about dead children. But it's a meme.
We're supposed to laugh at it.
So I don't know what's going on. But, I see what they were trying to do. I'm not entirely sure if it was the right time or place.
Right, and for anyone who didn't see the Super Bowl or this commercial, can completely be taking this meme in actually who knows what direction if all they're reading at the bottom is "but I'm dead." So was it too much, too soon? And I mean, I think it was okay because again, we opened a dialogue. It might have not been the best way or the right time, but the dialogue was open. And I really hope everyone's not just pointing a finger saying, "Oh, it's these kind of parents or these kind of parents." Instead, they're actually taking the time to look at what can actually go wrong.
So our Darwin Moment of the week this week is actually not someone that messed up and definitely deserved it. It is a positive story. Ev?
Right, so I was at IHOP the other day, and I overheard these two guys telling their waiter that if they could have this table from, like, you know, the other section or other side tab. They're like, don't tell them anything. And, like, I didn't see these people talk to them at all. These three women, they weren't hitting on them. They weren't doing anything. There was no conversation between them.
No hidden motive.
Other than, don't tell them until they ask for the bill, because we're going to be leaving, and we're just paying it forward. So they picked up their tab and didn't ask for a thank you, didn't even ask to be recognized.
And I think that's the key, is that we often do things for the community, and then we post in a self-gratifying way, not in an awareness way. And I think the key to that story is that they didn't want to be recognized. They just wanted it to be, and they quietly paid the bill and left. And to us, that's a Darwin moment.
Yeah.
Cool, so tune in next week for our Valentine's Day episode, where we talk about the day itself and its commercialization or lack thereof. So, thanks for tuning in. Remember, it still all starts with a conversation.
Your actions can cause a movement.